something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with crime. This is a show where I try to educate real stories. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. This is a show where I try to educate you about the criminal justice system through people's stories. So I have one of my favorite co-hosts, Mr. Damion Walker, here tonight. He went to juvenile prison as a kid and did 16 years. 17 years. I almost got it right, but I was wrong by a year. 17 years as a juvenile in the adult system. And, but he came out and he's done really well. He's married with a child. He works and he does a lot of community service. He brought one of his former co-workers here tonight to tell us his story. Tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how he overcame. And that's Mr. Brian Young. Thank you, Brian, for willing to tell your story today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, Brian, I don't know if Damion told you, but we usually start off by what city you were raised with, what type of family dynamics, 2 parents, 1 parent, auntie, grandma, foster, whatever your upbringing was, and when did you start your life of crime? So.
Oh, wow.
Or get involved with the criminal justice system. Not necessarily a life of crime, but when did you first have to get into the court system? No. We actually do talk about when you started. You know, my poll over my 33 years in criminal justice is people usually start behavior in middle school. Doesn't always happen. My other co-host, Danny Sneed, didn't start his behavior until he was in his late 20s after the Army because of the cocaine epidemic. So some people started late, but some people started early. So tell me about you.
So I was incarcerated in a juvenile system. I did.
At what age?
I think I started at 14.
First time being arrested?
First time, 14, but from 14 to 18, I went through juvenile 18 times. So I was arrested 18 times in juvenile.
And what was most of those arrests?
Most of them were like burglary, selling dope. You know, my trademark for my name, I guess, was just couldn't get right.
Yeah.
Because I'd be out for 2 weeks and then back at it again. But
what was your family situation?
My family situation was, because I was about to tell you, as I grew older, I learned that I was triggered by a lot of the trauma that I was going through at a young age.
Right.
And my mother, it started with me with my mother. She fell in love with a man that.
But tell me how many people was in the household?
Oh, it was just me, my sister, and my brother.
So 3 of you?
3 of us.
3 kids, 1 mama.
1 mother. My father had a life sentence. He was in the penitentiary.
Your father was in the penitentiary. At what age for you?
Let's say from 5 to 14.
He got out. How was the relationship when he got out? Did he come?
So
back
you said, well, hold on, let me make sure I correct. So he went in when you were
5.
Okay. And he got out when you were 14?
14.
Well, that wasn't no real life sentence.
Yeah, back then you only.
I know. They did a third.
Yeah.
They did a third back then.
Yeah. So he went to prison. He shot somebody or whatever. But you know, my mother went through a few relationships. A bunch of them was abusive until she met a dude that wasn't abusive to her. But even though he wasn't abusive to her, he didn't really pay attention to the kids, to her kids. So.
Did she have any kids with him?
No.
Okay, but he had separate kids too.
Yeah.
Did his kids come and live in y'all's household? Okay.
So I don't.
How old were you when your mother married your stepfather?
When they got married when I was about 13, 14. But they had been together since I was like 8 or 9.
They actually lived together at 8 or 9 when you were 8 or 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they would like just go on the
Boyfriend,
seats of
okay.
boyfriend and girlfriend. So when I was about 13, 14, when he moved in, and he started helping her get her life together, she started going back to college and stuff, or whatever. But
He didn't like y'all?
I'm not gonna say he didn't like us. He just didn't spend no time with us.
Okay. Was he at work? Was he always at work?
I didn't really know nothing about him. But then here's the thing: it takes, because I'm not gonna put all the blame on him. The blame could also go on the child. The child has to be able to communicate with the parents. A lot of kids don't know that you have to be able to speak to the parents and let them know, hey, man, can I go with you sometimes? And even though he didn't offer, I could have been the type of kid, but I was so rebellious against him because maybe I was still looking for my father.
Right.
That I didn't really give him an opportunity. He was what I consider a square. Mm-hmm. He was a country dude, white boy talking, truck driving. Mm-hmm. But it turned out he really was a good dude. And that's what I liked about him, because he wasn't doing the thing that the other men were doing to my mother. So he really was a good dude. We just didn't have a relationship.
So you think that if you would have, as a child, had the internal fortitude to say, hey, guy, can I go with you? You think he probably would have let you?
I think my life would have probably been a little bit better. I think he would have let me, and I think my life would have been a little bit better, but he was dealing with kids that we didn't see, and I don't know what their situation was,
Gotcha.
which made it hard to deal with us because he could barely deal with his own,
How many kids did he have?
I still don't know to this day. I think he has 2. I know he got at least 1 son and 1 daughter.
Okay.
Did you interact with them?
No, I never met him.
He never brought them around. Y'all, so that they never blended y'all together.
They never blended us together. I don't know for sure, but I think that they from Dallas, maybe.
Oh, they might not have been here.
They might. I don't. Like, I'm kind of antisocial when it comes to dealing with people that I don't know.
Got it.
And because, like, me and my mama was the best of friends until she met him. And then once she met him, our relationship started distancing, which led me to go to the streets. I started hanging out with my cousins more, who were doing a little bit more than what I was doing, and I ended up going to the streets. And what I learned about going to the streets is that you couldn't be soft. You couldn't. I'm a good person at the time, but hanging with them, I had to become became something totally different, something that I wasn't ready for. And because of what I became, it led me on a path that led my father to. So here it comes, because it all turns into the trauma of the ancestralness. My daddy messed up, went to the penitentiary. Now you hearing, oh, you just like your daddy, you're gonna be like your daddy, but now you are actually taking the steps to your daddy. It comes back, it's in the bloodline. And you wouldn't believe that it's gonna happen like that, but for a lot of young people these days, it actually happens like that. You can go back, I can't name the name, to the first person that was certified as an adult. He witnessed I want to say it right, his grandfather or his uncle or somebody, he witnessed them kill somebody. So when he became age 13 and 14, he ended up killing somebody, and he became the first juvenile person to get certified as a juvenile. But all that comes
in Texas or just America?
In America.
Okay.
So, yeah, all that comes from the ancestral trauma that we deal with. So when I'm like, I don't know if I'm moving too fast or fast.
No, you're good.
But when I try to talk to kids or I try to talk to families, I try to, when the mothers come to me and they be like, I don't understand why she did this, or why I ain't raised her like this. So I say, well, let's go back and see what you had going on in your life that she may have been paying attention to that you didn't know she was paying attention to. And one woman, she got her life right, she's doing good. You wouldn't have never known that this woman went to the penitentiary.
Oh, wow.
So she say, well, I did get locked up for a few years. Okay. So now we got a common denominator why she might have be acting out, even though you didn't see it when you got out and you started raising her. She might have been 9 or 10 at the time, but the 8 and 7,
Right.
there was a lot of things processed in her mind that you wasn't there to see.
Right.
And now she grown. This is the girl that got raped on Cypress.
She got raped?
Yeah, she ended up getting raped. She ended up getting raped and beat up by her boyfriend and her boyfriend's new girlfriend.
How they gonna rape her? I don't understand. That's her boyfriend.
She had some mental situations going on, and they took advantage of her. The boyfriend really wasn't trying to be her boyfriend.
Oh, he had a girlfriend.
Yeah, he had a girlfriend already. So when she didn't want to deal with him no more, he decided to abuse her, rape her, and then she ended up calling the police. And while I was working for Harris County, I ended up catching them and talking to the people that were there about the situation, and then end up meeting her mother, even though I learned from Harris County that we don't deal with domestic situations. And then it just so happened that the dude that raped her, he ended up getting killed like the next week.
Who killed him? Just the streets?
No.
Yeah.
The mama? We ain't call no names, so I'm just asking. Was it the mama? I don't know. Somebody might have got him, huh?
Yeah, somebody.
Somebody did get him.
Somebody got him, huh? But we don't know. Y'all don't know why.
I think I was gone by that time.
You think it was what he was doing in the streets, or what?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, like, you know.
Just those situations was always so particular, but not particular, because you never really knew what was happening, because you don't know the history of what was going on with those individuals before they ran into you. So they may have had like a lot of enemies, or they may have had some things they've done, you know. So sometimes people out there looking for people, but they're still continuing to make enemies because of whatever the trauma is, or because that's their survival mode too. So you have to be mindful when you're doing like outreach work or certain work, and you're connecting yourself to people that you're trying to help, because you don't know who's out to get them or if they're out to get somebody else. Right. And people can actively use you, a good county worker, city worker, or a good person, to kind of advance their desire to get back at somebody. So it's best to stay according. I know we're getting off, but it's best to stay according to the protocols that you have when it comes down to your training, because people can actively use people to come back around because of their mental issues and try to take somebody out and use you to do that.
Well, I want to get back to his story, but I want to add something. One of the things I used to find as a defense attorney, especially when I was deep into it, say like 10, 15 years ago, a lot of times, especially in those rape cases when it's family related, like uncles or somebody live in the same house, little fast girls, whatever, a lot of times it's just like you said, people are sometimes these girls are lying and they're trying to get back at somebody. Right. And people who've never been through situations, you know, I've been through situations. So people who've never been through situations, like good, honest people who've had good lives, who work in those systems, they believe these kids. And sometimes these kids are lying. Right. Because they've been in foster care, or they've seen too much, right, you know, as kids. So they know if they say somebody raped them, they can get out of whatever trouble they in. Right. Or if somebody touched them, they can get somebody they don't like in trouble, a stepfather, an uncle. And sometimes they don't really realize the whole consequences of what's going to happen. They just trying to get out of it. So you're right. You gotta have a little thug in you sometime to be a good prosecutor and a good worker at CPS. Right. You know, because sometimes they believe everything they hear, and it's not. And it's foster. The companies that run the foster programs, they believe everything they say, and sometimes the children are lying because they're going through the trauma that they've been through. And sometimes, and I'm not saying they haven't been raped, but sometimes they say the wrong person raped them. It ain't the right person. Right. It could be a boyfriend that raped them and they blamed it on their uncle. Right. It could be a 15-year-old that did it. You see what I'm saying? But then they said blame it on somebody. So it sounds real, but they're dealing with some type of trauma because they're in traumatized situations. You know, if they're in foster care or not living with their proper parents, you know, they've been through something to not be with their proper family. Yeah. Right. So,
before you go too, I want to ask too about your father. When he got out, did y'all establish a relationship?
When we got out, we had a fight.
A real fist fight?
Well, more like him trying to hit me because when he got out, he learned that his son was already going down the wrong path.
On the streets, yeah.
Yeah, and he got out, he wanted to be dad now. But, you know, I'm in the streets now, so you can't, I'm not trying to hear dad right now, you know. And then, you know, to fast forward a little bit, he got locked up again because he wasn't ready to be dead. You see, but we end up having a relationship, or we ended up on the same unit.
How long did he get locked up for the second time?
14 years. He did more years on a violation than he did for his actual sentence the first time. So the second time he did 14 years.
Yeah, because by the time he did the second time, that's when they created those state jails. So a lot of the people, so at one point for a crack rock, like when I first started in the game in 1992, for a crack rock, you could do 25 years. It was 25 to life. So at that point, the violent criminals and the non-violent criminals with the crack rocks are going to the same TDC.
Right.
But in 1992, I think, or 1994, 1992, they built those state jails. I think they started sending them there in 93, 94, somewhere like that. They started sending them, the non-violent cases, to state jail for theft and, you know, theft from a person, forgery, credit card abuse, and crack. Small amounts of crack, but just people who possessed it, wasn't selling it. They would send them to state jails. So that freed up a whole, because you know that was a whole new little prison system. So that freed up a lot of space. So once they were all over the state though. So once that happened, when people got in trouble again or violated, now it's a whole bunch of space. Because really they were getting out fast back then because it wasn't no space. Because there was too many people going to the same place. But once they freed that time, you know, that space up, they could do more time. And so he got caught up. He shouldn't have gone back.
Yeah, he all right. He doing good now. But we end up being on the same unit together. And then.
So this is after you getting out of the juvenile system, now you in the adult system?
Yeah. In the juvenile system, I went to BBAs, I went to U Village, I went to state school twice, and then I went to boot camp. Then I went to the penitentiary.
How much time did you do as a juvenile?
So juvenile, I say at least probably about 2-3 years altogether, because I know I did 6 months at each state school, and then you had BBH, and then you had U Village.
What's BBH?
Barnard and Bailey Homes. It was right out Chimney Rock back in the days.
Oh, yeah, I remember 59 and Chimney Rock.
Yeah, so I went to, when I was there, I was going to Robert E. Lee High School. So,
you
I messed up at BBH and went to U Village. U Village was in Clear Lake.
It's still out there, yeah.
Seabrook. So I went to U Village, and then I graduated U Village, went home. I did like 9 months at U Village, went home, then got in trouble again and went to boot camp. Then now I'm ready for adult. So I went to boot camp, and I went to adult boot camp for 90 days at Tascasita, and was trained by some of the strictest drill sergeants. And we supposed to graduate with 48 people. We graduated with 20-some people. And then when we was graduating, he looked at everybody and he basically predicted everybody's life. He was like, it's 24 y'all graduating, and he say like, most of y'all will be back before 6 months. And I was back before 6 months.
Wow.
This is the thing about life when we're talking about the kids that try to get over on their parents. There's almost nothing new under the sun. You basically know when they lying. You know, sometimes you let them get away with a lie or two here and there. So as we young adults, a person that been there, he can see the signs of knowing, man, you know you're going back. You know, he can't say it like that, but you know you're not ready. And I guarantee you in 6 months, I seen most of the class in the county. So to fast forward a little bit, when you say why a credible message is important, it's because the credible messages can actually identify what the people you're trying to reach. That's what make them just as good as a peace officer, or just as good as somebody that has authority, because they know, and then some of the people that's going through something, they ain't gonna want to lie to them. Because you know you've been through the struggle.
And you don't lie because they're going to find you out anyway, so you don't want to lie. So talk about your process from juvenile to adult. So you get caught up in the adult system.
Oh, man, when I got to TDCJ.
How did you get to TDCJ?
Okay, well, this is crazy because he's from the Southwest Side. So back in the day, they had a group called Street Military.
Street Military?
Music, yeah.
Right. Yeah, they were a music rap group.
Street Military had a song called Kick Door Burglars. So me being from the North, I ended up doing kick those on the Southwest and impersonating police officers. So, as being young, you never know that you know the law enforcement. They see a pattern. They follow the pattern, so they know, okay, whoever doing these kick those, they done left a car or two in these apartments on the north. So now the next time something happened on this side, we're gonna set up surveillance. So one day I woke up with a car that I got from the Southwest, and I got up, you know, and let me tell you how God worked, because God saved somebody's life, and at the same time, he probably didn't give me the time that I probably would have had, because I was on my way to kill somebody. When
you woke up that
When I
morning?
woke up that morning, I was on my way to kill somebody.
Somebody that you had beef with?
I had a fight with the night before. Not only was I probably gonna kill him, I was probably gonna kill his mama and daddy too.
Oh my goodness.
Because I had plans on shooting up the whole house.
Now, y'all were fighting over a drug deal?
We were fighting over something that happened 6 months ago.
Oh, Lord.
I broke in his house 6 months ago.
Okay.
And
So this was another street guy that you
this
broke
was,
into?
yeah, this was another street guy. I broke in his house, and you know, I went to jail. I went to juvenile. I got out 6 months later, and
How did he know you broke into his house?
Because this is another thing. This is another thing. When you put that jacket on your back in the hood, it don't matter if you didn't do it.
Right.
If you known for stealing,
And breaking in houses?
you did it.
Okay.
You know, that's just. He shouldn't have known that I did it, but because I'm from that area, everybody gonna blame me. I got blamed for crimes that I didn't commit, picked out a lineup, and I was in juvenile. No. Yeah, I got
So they know you didn't do it?
They know I didn't do it, but the people that they interviewed in the same compartment that I said told them that I was lying and said that I did it, and I was locked up. But
So they let somebody go. They let somebody get free on that one.
Yeah, so
So he guessed right that it was you.
he gets right. It was me.
Okay, he guessed right.
And
So you broke into his place. You went to juvenile for it. So shouldn't he have wanted to kill you then?
he should have. Well, let me tell you what happened, because this is a heck of a story. Okay. So keep in mind, when I broke in his house, they kidnapped me.
Mm-hmm.
They
Who
kidnapped
kidnapped
me. Him and his homeboys.
Oh, so you got caught in the house?
No, I got caught with my homegirl in the car, and they stopped in the middle of the street while we were going to get on the freeway, and pulled the door by pistol and put me in the car and drove me back to his mama's house. That before I did the time, and they beat me up. But what they messed up at, they took me to my cousin's house, and my cousin saw that I didn't get out the car. So he called some of our friends and like, hey, such and such got Brian, let's go over there and see what's going on, because it's not like Brian to get out the car. So by the time my people came, they had already been beating me up in the backseat of the car. And then once my people came and say, hey, y'all let them up out of there, I wanted to fight, but we couldn't fight because they was having a sting in Acres Home at the time. So I ended up going to juvenile, and I got out. And when I got out, you know, now I got a little chip on my shoulder. I see him in the hood. I tell his cousin, he had on some new Jordans. I tell his cousin, I said, I hope he don't want no problem, because I'm gonna end up taking his shoes. That's how I felt.
You gonna take the guy's shoes
I
and
was
beat
gonna
you
take
up?
his shoes, yeah. They clicked on me, because now we having a fight. This is what led to me going shoot. We having a fight, right? I beat him up in my neighborhood, but I had a necklace. Back then they were wearing Turkish ropes. It was my name on it. I had my name on it. My Turkish it represents me. And I lost my chain in the fight.
Right.
So nobody want to give me my chain back. It's like 6 of us right here, and everybody older than me, they big timers. So I said, okay, well, nobody want to give me my chain back. I'm gonna go. Next day, I'm gonna go shoot this people house up. So the next day, I went to the Southwest just to get a car for this reason. So I went to the Southwest, jacked somebody for their car, brought the car back to the neighborhood just to go shoot his people house up. But the police had to set up a surveillance on the back of the store. So
And that's the store. That's where you got the car from?
No, that's the store that's across the street from our apartments.
Okay.
They say whoever jacked somebody on the southwest side, they live in these apartments, and this is the car, so we're going to
I
sell it.
wonder how they knew.
Because we
that was
left a
his
pattern.
pattern.
We left a
So he
pattern.
would always, so you
It's
remember
some-
back
But
back
I
in
mean,
the
it's
game,
all kind of apartment complexes, so how they know they live in that apartment?
because they find them. So when
Oh, they keep finding the cars in
Yeah,
that
find
apartment,
cars,
in
yeah.
that apartment complex.
Yeah.
Got it.
So they set up surveillance. So once they seen me and my fire partner that's still locked up now, he about to get out. Once they seen both of us get in the car, as soon as I left out the apartment, a police car got behind me. Now keep in mind, I got this pistol.
Right, because you about to go shoot up some
Yeah, I'm
house.
about to go shoot up somebody's house. So I was telling my fire partner, throw the pistol away, get the pistol out of the car because
throw it out, yeah.
the pistol gonna put us under the penitentiary.
Okay.
So we end up, having a.
Did he throw it out?
Yeah, he ended up being able to throw it out.
Did they find it?
They never found the pistol.
Okay, that's good.
So, but they had the helicopter, the Black House, Fox 26, the news station, everybody out chasing that, because this was a big thing back then.
Stealing those cars.
Kick door burglars.
Right.
This was a big thing back then. So.
What years was this?
This is 94, January 94.
January 94.
So I wasn't able to get away. I was able to get him to get the pistol away. Then I let him jump out the car first. I gave him an opportunity to jump out the car, get a. So we drive. I'm driving. They trying to. This is on the TV. So finally, I feel like I got enough time to make a break. So I make a break and I end up in somebody's backyard or somebody's doghouse.
Oh,
if
Lord.
I'm gonna get away with this helicopter, Black Hawk. They had the Black Hawk then, and I didn't make
The
it.
dog was in there too? The dog
Wasn't no
was there?
dog in there.
Oh, it wasn't no dog.
Luckily, I'm glad. I would have got out anyway. But yeah, that.
So they caught you in the backyard?
They called me in the backyard, and they took me back to my neighborhood. They let me talk to my grandmother. They let me talk to my auntie. And I'm looking because I know it's gonna be a long time before I see the hood. I'm gonna see my people. They gonna come see me, but I know it's gonna be a long time before I see the hood. And I started my journey in TDCJ.
How much time did you get for that?
I got 45 years.
Did you go to trial or something?
I went to trial. I signed for a pre-sentence investigation.
Oh.
That's where a lot of young
People make mistakes, yeah.
And
Because you can get from probation all the way up to life.
so I'm gonna tell you who my prosecutor was.
Who?
My DA, the DA, the prosecutor in my case was Kim Ard.
Oh.
So
And she used to lock them up, baby.
Kim Ard, I forgot.
So that was 1994.
Yeah, my judge was Joe Keagan.
Oh, yeah. Joe Keagan used to give people a break, but you had a bad record, so yeah.
Right there, but I could have went to Ted Poe. He was right next door. So Joe, but these was 3 women, and my lawyer.
Where's the other woman? Who's the other woman?
Gunderson. I think her last name was Gunderson. It was a white lady. But they promised me, keep in mind, I'm thinking that I wasn't gonna get no more than 25 years. So they told me.
But are you at 25 to life now or no?
I had.
all his record was juvenile, so he had.
Yeah, and back
besides
then they
that,
couldn't enhance with juvenile.
Yeah,
They
they
can
could.
now.
Yeah,
They
five to
can
nine.
now. You know they do now.
It was 5 to 99.
Oh, it's 5 to 99.
But
And Joe
that
Keagan
new
gave you
aggravator.
45?
Kim Ogden told me that I wasn't gonna get no more than 25 years. When Joe Keagan, she said, I don't even want to see the PSI. I sent she hit it, she said 45. Now right then and now I was supposed to object it because that ain't what y'all told me.
Right.
But I didn't object. So I ended up getting 45. So that's 10 extra years on my sentence. Tagged on to what they said they were gonna give me. So I ended up getting 45 years.
That's
so
20 more years.
It's,
But you're talking about
But to my father, making
halftime.
parole,
yeah, making parole is 10 more. It's 10 more. Well,
Right.
yeah, you can say 20. It's 20 more years. So now,
So why couldn't your lawyer and the DA come to an agreement? Because you know a PSI is a risk. Because you can't plead bargain with a judge. So understand this. A lot of people say the judge gave me this time. 99.9% of the time, it ain't the judge giving you time because judges don't plea bargain. The only time a judge sentences you is a PSI, pre-sentence investigation, where you plead guilty and throw yourself on the mercy of the court, or you have a court trial just before the judge. Those situations are very rare.
Right.
What the judge does, what the prosecutors bring the charges, they plea bargain with the lawyer. What the judge does is they read the agreement that you've already signed. If you know you were a juvenile, so you might not know this, but you sign everything, you initial everything. Mm-hmm. The judge is the gatekeeper to make sure that you haven't been forced to do this plea bargain. So the judge is saying, is this your plea of your own free will? Is this what you really want me to do? You know, that's what the judge's primary job is, as the gatekeeper of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. So that if someone has, you know, you dumb or kind of retarded and you just signed something and you didn't know what you were signing, and the judge said, are you sure this is what you want to do? And if you say, no, judge, that's not what I was promised, or that's not what I signed for, the judge is going to say, hold up, y'all go talk about it or reset this. So that's what the judge will do if you speak up. But most of the time, most people are going to say, yes, Your Honor, yes, Your Honor, yes, Your Honor. So it seems like the judge is giving you the time, but you've actually already gone through all of that with your lawyer in the back. You know that.
Right.
So you signed all those papers in the back without a plea agreement. But 95% of everything is a plea agreement.
Right.
So the number that you're signing for is right there on the paper. But when the prosecutor and the defense attorney can't agree, that's when they go to the judge, because the defense attorney is supposed to feel like the judge is going to give you less time than the prosecutor has offered you. So Kim Ogg must have offered him 25 years or 30, and they thought it was going to be a little less.
Right.
When they went to, your lawyer must have thought so.
Yeah.
They thought it was going to be less, but they can never predict. This is the hard part. They can never predict what a judge is going to do, and the judge has not told them.
Why is that? And that's the good thing. I won't stop. That's the good thing about being truth and justice. We get to get this free education, right?
Yes.
About the system.
Yes.
But why is that? Why can you never predict it if that's kind of what the agreement is?
Because you can't agree with the judge. That's against the judge's rules. The Judicial Conduct Commission does not allow judges to plea bargain with people. So that's against the rules. They cannot do that. And let me tell you this is interesting. It's a good segue into this. I started this show because of that. Because so many mothers used to call me and say, after their son had got 20, 30 years on their first offense, never been in trouble before because it was a PSI. They used to plead them to PSIs in the 90s a lot. And it was in 1994 is when the Republican sweep happened. A lot of those prosecutors were my former co-workers because I left in 95. So they started the bench in 1995, and they will hang them high. And so Kim had already left by then. She left in 94. But they will hang them high. So if they had a big plea bargain, they would always get these lawyers to do a PSI, when truly the range of punishment is 25 to life, but you already got to know your judge. If the judge, you know, that's why you need a lawyer that's in the courtroom all the time. You don't need somebody that does family law, personal injury, and they just take a case every now and then because they're not in the courtroom every day. The lawyers who are there know what the judge's proclivities are. What is their likelihood of what they'll do? You know what I'm saying? And Keagan was a bit unpredictable. And she generally, because I remember when I first left and went to private practice in 95, I had an ag robbery guy that I was scared to go before her. She was still practicing. She was still on the bench. And she gave him probation. Back then, none of the other judges were giving probation for that. But her mothers would call me and say, my son got 18 years for this judge, 18 years. I'm like, and that was not, and then when they call me, it would not be the type of judge that you're supposed to do a PSI with, because they're going to hang you high. They're going to never give you probation. It's many judges that were there for 20 years and never gave probation ever.
But what's the option then? So that's the thing. What's the option if we know that?
If you want, you got to either take.
When you're in court, because we shouldn't be there in the first place, right?
Right. You shouldn't be there. You're going to have to take the plea bargain that's worked out, or you're going to have big enough nuts to roll the dice. That's just the bottom line. But the bottom line is, at least with a plea bargain, you know. Do you remember what your plea bargain offer was?
Yes, 25 years.
You should have took that 25 years.
But when
you're young, and that's the problem. When these mothers would call me, their children were 17, 18, and 19. And so they've hired a lawyer that they think is great. Now, they paid this lawyer all this money, $10,000, $15,000, to get them something. And they look like the type that can get it for them. And so they trust them. And then when they butts get all this time, they call in the black girl. Okay? And now they want to call and talk to me. And I used to get most of my calls I got were from mamas who were pissed off about what happened to their kids because the lawyer didn't lie to them. And so in the street, I started being called the truth, because I would tell my clients the truth, whether they wanted to hear it or not. Gangsters, I did one of the first big rap-a-lot cases in federal court in 1998, won the case, so I got real popular in Fifth Ward at that time. And so I represented a lot of people, and I would tell them the truth. You looking at this is what this judge is gonna do, but you gotta be man enough to hear that. You paying, all a lawyer has to give you is advice.
Right.
And you gotta be man enough when you're in these streets to take the advice that the lawyer is giving you, especially a lawyer that's in these streets all the time. So that's one of the reasons why I call it Truth and Justice, because a lot of guys will say, call Miss King, because she's the truth. Yeah. She gonna tell you the truth, it is the truth, she gonna tell it like it is, she's the truth. And you know, since you've known me, I'm gonna tell the truth. But a lot of lawyers, part of their pitch to get the money is, oh yeah, I can get you probation. Right. Oh, I can get you a bond. And then you're gonna pay them. I used to lose clients to big lawyers all the time because they made promises to them. And sometimes they could give them a bond when they couldn't. But the outcome never came out good. Right. You know what I'm saying? It never came out good. So that's why I started this, to educate people about the system, because they were getting lied to. And that was the hang 'em high from like 1995 to probably 2008. We had some really one-sided judges. They only been prosecutors. Yeah. They hung you high until after Obama won, with other people start coming, other Democrats coming in softer, but they were hanging them high. But people were lying, and people would feel, and the thing is this, just think about this, I'm in business to make money. I'm not in business to talk to you about something that's already happened. Yeah. You can't undo it. Once you plead guilty, you can appeal all you want to. What do you think an appeal is? Another thing, people don't understand what an appeal is. An appeal is where the appellate court is grading the judge, not the case. Right. So in a trial, they're making sure that if the lawyer asked for some evidence to come in, the state objected and the judge kept it out, was that evidence that should have come in? Do you follow what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's all appeal is. The appellate process is to not to relook at the case and decide if you're guilty or innocent. They're not gonna do that. That's not their job. Their job is to make sure that the judge ruled correctly on objections. Yes. Okay, right. That's all they're looking at. And then keep in mind that our system is, in the 33 years I've been in it, many of the judges are married to the prosecutors. They're the same people. Many prosecutors run for judge, they become judges. Joe Keagan was one of the few that didn't, but Ted Poe was a prosecutor. So they're prosecutors, and then they just run for the appellate court. Many of them, when y'all having these appeals, appellate judges are on the cases on their wives or husbands are on. So how do you think they're gonna judge their husbands or wives?
I did not know that part. I knew a lot of the other stuff, but this is what I'm gonna say too. So Harris County was known, and not was known, but was the plea capital of the nation at this time. So during that time that we actually went through the system, that's what Harris County was known for, like putting out them pleas. But
that's what's interesting.
PSIs as well, though.
I rarely did PSIs. Yeah. Let me tell you the type of case I do a PSI on. I know we're kind of getting off subject. Yeah. Where this is one I remember doing. In fact, the judge, it's a black female judge, she just asked me about the client the other day because it was so long ago. The family was mad, so I didn't keep up with them. But this little boy and his buddies, they were teenagers. But they were either certified as adults or else they were 17. I can't remember. But they looked like little bitty boys. I mean, like weigh 120 pounds, little bitty dudes. They going through a parking lot, and they gonna try to jack this guy, I guess for his car. They wanted money. He said, I don't have it. I have an ATM in my house. Let's go up into the house and go up there. His newlywed wife is waiting there in her bikini underwear and underwear. You know those boys screwed this woman in front of the husband, beat him up, raped this woman. And they little boys, but they raped this woman in front of the husband, and they had just moved to Houston, the couple, like several months before, just for job opportunities. Right. It was horrible. They got caught in the act. They left semen. They made her get blowjobs. They had all kind of sex with anal, you name it, vaginal, anal, all of them in front of the husband, made him watch. Now, where do little boys get this kind of knowledge from? They like 15 years old. And this is about 15 years ago. This is a long time ago. So, I mean, so this is the kind of case that you ain't gonna like what the plea bargain is.
Right.
This is also the kind, and the mama looked like she'd been in the life, but she was married, straightened her life up, but real skinny, you know. But she loved her son, and she was trying to help him. But I had to tell her the truth, so I had to do a PSI on that. Right. I couldn't go. A jury would have given them life, given these boys life, and they 15, 16, or 17, so they not fixing to sign for no 40 years. You know that. Whatever the prosecutor was offering me. The people were so traumatized when they testified, and we had actually had a PSI. Oh, after it happened, they left town, they got divorced, they moved back to Boston or wherever they were from. The prosecutors flew them in to testify in the PSI. And the judge, I'm not gonna say her name, I think she gave them no more than 40. It was, but she told me the other day she thought she gave them 25. But it wasn't more. It wasn't what they would have gotten in a plea bargain. It was less. She gave them less than what they would have gotten in a plea bargain, and less than what they would have gotten in a trial. Right. But I think it was between 25 and 40. But I just can't remember what it was. But if it was 40, and this is about 15 years ago, so you know he's about to come up for his first parole. But that's some gangster stuff. You go from trying to rob somebody to raping a newlywed wife, and they about 25 years old, and she's sitting there folding up clothes, waiting for hubby to get off of work, looking sexy, probably smelling good, and these gangsters, little teenage gangsters, come up on you and go into your house. She ain't expecting her woman to look like that. She's trying to surprise him. That was one of the horrible. That was a horrible one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit back B real fast. B, how much time did you do?
25 and a half.
You did 25 and a half.
You did 25 years.
Yeah.
So did you do the 25 years on that 45?
From 94 to 2019.
1994 to 2019.
So the 2 years as a juvenile, 2 to 3 years juvenile, plus the 25 years, so 27 total.
About 27.
So at one point you was locked up over half your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only been out here for, let's say, 19 years.
So you're on parole?
I'm on parole till 2039.
So how did you stop going to a life of crime? You know, you've done all the bad stuff, but what made you change?
I never was a bad person from the get-go.
I know, but you was doing bad things. So what made you stop doing bad things? I'm gonna go back to say, if you raise right, at some point you'll become right, right? Grandma was good, mama, you know, everybody was good. Everybody put in a little something. So what you get now is what they was instilling in me back in the days. So it's not that I can't be on the other side of crime, it's just that I don't want to. I have a choice. I have a decision, and my decision was to be able to go back to help those that might be following my footsteps. Because I took some people to jail. When I got locked up, my file partner that's still there now, I woke him up to go kill somebody. Oh, wow.
He didn't have intentions of going to kill nobody. He just followed after me.
So why is he still there?
Because, like you just said, about the two boys and the rape, well, when we did do 1 hour kick door burglars, he took the pistol and he put it in the woman's vagina.
Oh.
So he had to do some extra time. I didn't get that case.
Okay.
So, and even though he wasn't raised like that, but now when he get out, he probably gonna have to come out and be a sex offender.
Oh, so, yeah, he gonna be a sex offender.
But it was 4 of us, so 2 kids, they were number 12 years old. 12, they went to juvenile, they got out. And then he was 15, they certified him as an adult. So he on his way home now, he'll be home in October.
Who are these people? Now, is that the same person as your file partner?
Yeah, it'd be 30 years. But keep in mind that one of the kids that I taught the life of crime, he never stopped. And just a few months ago, you know, he never stopped doing what I taught him, but he ended up getting murdered and burnt in the car. They
Who
burned
killed
him up in the car. I don't know.
I mean, you don't have to say, like, even if you know, I'm not asking you to say, I just meant, like, when I say who, I'm sorry to say that, I meant, like, was it somebody that had revenge on him, a upset girlfriend?
He was doing the same thing that I taught him when he was 12.
So jacking people for cars.
Jacking people for their stuff. Now, there was two of them. One of them changed his life and went to Louisiana, but this one here wouldn't stop. So.
Was he on drugs? Is that why he wouldn't stop? Or
Nah,
what?
he was just hustling.
Just a hustler.
He was just a hustler. And it ain't been, I don't think it been a hot 6 months, whatever. But they caught him, they killed him, put him in the back of the car, burned him up, and they found his body in a burned up car somewhere by Richie.
By Richmond?
Richie Road.
Oh, Richie Road. Did they burn up in a car he stole?
Nah, they burned him up in his car that he owned.
So they knew they was trying to show him something.
Yeah, they was trying to. I don't know the whole details of the situation. I just know it happened.
And nobody went to jail for that.
And I think one person went to jail for it. I try to stay away from those stories. I don't because people did come around asking like, why is he asking questions type.
Right.
And though I'm not afraid of the streets, that's just not where I'm at to try to go back and forth because I'm a good person, but then I could be street too,
Right.
And I try to stay on the good side. So.
Because once you really re-enter yourself back into that, you really get what come with that still.
Yeah,
some people don't.
Come with that.
Some people not changing up their thought process. So if you enter yourself into certain conversations, you get the results of those conversations or those inquiries. And when you from those particular places, you understand that. So it's best not to even engage in that. I don't even want to have a conversation. And I'm gonna let you know, hey, I'm not in that.
Don't tell me.
Yeah, I don't need to know nothing. If you got some questions, and sometimes I know people that pick the phone up, hey, I know this is going on, I'm not in that. So let me let you know before you trying to come ask me some questions.
They were calling me on, I was getting anonymous tips on Facebook and everything. People was just sending me, I know.
Give it to Crime Stoppers.
I told him, I don't want to. Because he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing. I don't condone in illegal activities. What you do, don't do it around me. Because I'm not gonna be responsible for nobody else's actions.
B, you gonna tell on them if something happened?
I'm not.
I'm gonna tell on them. I'm gonna let you know.
I'm not gonna use the word tell. Just don't do it because this is my thing. If I'm not gonna do nothing about it, then I should tell. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm gonna do something about it, then I'm not gonna tell because I already got a plan on what I'm gonna do.
Right.
But I live through God, so I'm not looking for no type of situation like that. I'm not looking to be able in a situation where I got to tell on somebody, and I'm not looking to be in a situation where
you're not participating in that anymore either. That's a good thing. I want to talk about this too, because Brian is doing some amazing work. We got this justice story. Tell us what you're doing now, B. And let me tell you, I was a supervisor. I was his supervisor at Harris County. Interviewed Brian. Brian didn't he always tell the story, and I tell it too. I was like, hell no, man. I don't want this dude on the team. Man, like the most passionate person ever to be able to go into these communities, to be able to build trust with people that other people can't even do. He's fearless. Like he's literally fearless, but he also got a hell of a skill set too, to be able to make sure that the work is being done and that he's moving people to sustainability, right? And so once I was able to witness that in him, and again, for whatever reason, he ended up where he's at right now, his passion is almost unmatched with a lot of servants out here in his community, because he's gonna work with the mom, he's gonna work with the son, he's gonna work with the daughters, he's gonna work with the dog if it come down to it. He has an understanding of how to actually bring the family together to be able to help the family get whole. I need to work with Tim, but man, Tim, what's going on with your mama? Let's talk about your mama, because the passion that he has for this trauma that he went through, he's able to go into a situation and say, there's some trauma going on, but however, let's just talk about what's going on with y'all first. And then I'm gonna move you guys toward understanding this trauma. Then I also move you guys toward understanding what jobs do you need, what training do you need. Let's start working on this process. And he's actually fearless, and it's not always good. And Vivian, you'll know if you got an investigator, if you got a fearless investigator, sometimes you're concerned about him.
Oh, yes.
I'm concerned about this boy all the time.
Where he's going, yeah.
I was concerned about him all the time. Yeah,
it's a few times that he was. It was a blessing that he was concerned, because there's a few times that I could have lost my life in this line of work.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, it was some times where I brought him out to where I was working at, and I asked him, like, Damion, you know, I want you to meet the people in the neighborhood. And one time when he did meet, you know, some of the people in the neighborhood, he told me don't go back on a certain day. And on a certain day, somebody got killed. I ain't gonna say how many times he got shot, because
Got shot 75 times.
75 times. Somebody got shot 75 times?
The person got shot 40 something.
That y'all were working with?
But
Y'all were working with the shooter or y'all working with the victim?
we were working with the victim. We were supposed to be right there where it happened at, but Damion told us not to go that day.
What was your intuition? Why'd you know
Because
not to
the
go?
guy that Brian was working with, and Brian, you could send them to an area and they gonna come back with the last four of the social, they gonna come back with everything. And we said, okay, let's go to another area. So I'm sending them out to the other area, they not coming back, they not sending reports, they not doing any of this. And I'm getting on them, I'm like, man, what are y'all doing? Like, I know you guys, I know these reports, I know what's going on. And they just say it's different. So when I go see it, without telling the whole story, when I go see it, I said, woo, Lord, it's different. And so
Different like what?
So back in the 90s, and I told Dr. Henderson this here, and I sent Howard Henderson out here to this corner. He'll tell
my
this story.
God.
He tell this story all the time. He said, Damion sent me to this corner, and I didn't even go with him when I sent him out there. He said, when I went out there and I was explaining to him, it was like the 90s on West Airport. The drug addicts were selling drugs. It was so much activity, it was so much money, and I was sent back, and this is 2023, and I feel like I'm back in 1991 where everybody's making money, and it was just like, no, but they more violent than we were.
Oh, yeah, they are much
They're
more
more violent now, and I say, no, this is a little bit different. I went home and I told my wife, I said, it's dark. I'm using words like this, Viv. I'm not using no professional training. It's dark. I called the supervisor that morning before shift started. I said, it's dark. I said, it's dark out there. She said, make the call. I called them. I said, we're only going on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We leaving by 3 o'clock. Thursday, Friday, we're not going because they selling drugs. We're not stopping them from making their money. And I say, this is this. We had an appointment, and he called me on Sunday. We had an appointment at 3 o'clock at that store with this dude.
Yeah.
The dude called him and said, man, I'm trying to get out this life. We couldn't meet him nowhere but the store. So we're going to meet you at the store at 3 o'clock. 3:07, that's when all the shots rang out. We would have been at that store. And so he called me that night.
So did they just shoot up the store or they just shot him up?
Everything. But it was 5 murders at that store within 10 months, though. It was 5.
Well, that's a dangerous store.
We left another time, an hour and a half before somebody else got killed.
That y'all were working with.
That we were working with. So when he called back, he was like, you heard what happened? I was like, no. Then he called back again, and he said this. I'll never forget, January 23rd, 2023. He said, if you wouldn't have made that call, this is the second call. He said, if you wouldn't have made that call, him and the other guy called. If you wouldn't have made that call, man, we probably wouldn't be here. They called back a third time, crying. These two dudes, the other brother did 22 years. He did 25. They called back crying. Oh, if you wouldn't have. And I started crying because I realized that if I wouldn't have paid attention to his work ethic and the trainings that we had, that we would have been in that situation. And that's why it's important to follow your training, you know, and that's why, again, as supervisor, I got to make the call. But also, they trusted me enough with the work that we were doing to say, okay, Damion knows enough about these systems, but he also from the streets, though I got the degrees now, knows enough, and then we were able to make it out that situation.
It's dangerous. No,
Keep in mind, we don't always listen.
Nah, boy.
But we listened that time. That time, the way he said it made us say, okay, yeah, we're going to listen to Damion.
Yeah.
And we listened to him that time. But this is the thing about God, because I always put God in everything. A whole system changed behind that phone call. We saved the dude from that corner who joined the church, been in church since that day.
That day.
Yeah, and
Since the funeral.
not only did we save him because he came to the funeral in a ski mask. Now he the supervisor in Harris County Public
When I
Health.
left, he took my position.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we hired him from the community.
The dude that got killed, his nieces was going to Wordham. The mama was pulling them out of school because of the violence.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the
It's
violence.
violent at the school.
It's violent
Wordham
at the
is
school.
the most violent. I don't know if it still is, but if it was back then, it was
But because she saw us, the people that was working with the dude that got killed, going into the school to be able to talk to the youth, she said, I'm gonna lead them in the school because I know these people gonna make a change.
Because we met them at the funeral, we actually went to the funeral. And so when we caught them at the school, just so happened that it's a whole different side of town.
A whole different
but
side
since
of
then,
town.
like I talked about her today, I talked about the niece today, cause we end up, and I'm not bragging, but we end up helping them go to family reunions, the family. I think I pretty much paid for like her last, she was a sophomore, I paid for her cheerleading uniforms. If I was at work on the weekend, I called her, Mama, where's she at? She up there, I go pull off the bus. Like they getting ready to go to game, I pull off the bus and spend time with her. So it's just the fact of, again, going back to that, and I think that's a perfect, not necessarily end, but just the way that
We have 1 minute.
Okay, so the way that people can actively say that, man, the training, the credible messages, but we all can work together, Vivian. And I think that's one thing that we have and a lot of people in the community have, that we all can work together.
I agree.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a pleasure being on the show. Of course, my second time meeting you, you gave me an opportunity to share a little bit of my story. I've been trying to do this since I've been out. So
Well, we're not finished. We're going to invite you back because you know what I want you to tell us about life in prison.
Oh,
We got to talk about life in prison.
Ask him what his name was, it's so people to know.
What's your name?
Lil B, I went by Lil B or I went by Fofo.
Now, what was the other name?
Which one?
Shiesty B.
I had that too.
Shiesty B.
The B stood for a lot of stuff.
It's not for Brian?
Busy B, Shiesty B, BSB. It's just the B. I was like Lil Wayne. The F stand for a lot. The B stood for a lot in the penitentiary. I was a bad person in the penitentiary before I don't think I ever became a good person in the penitentiary.
Couldn't be. Yeah, you couldn't
I became a good person out here.
Okay. Well, we're going to invite you back and tell us about penitentiary stories.
It's a lot of life and death
That's how
stories.
he got here. He told the story out and he told the story in. That's what we have to do. It's always going to be a part 2. Thank you so much for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King, and we'll be back. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in again. Tonight we have something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with crime. This is a show where I try to educate